Hold on, it didn't work.
And welcome back to the Savage Patriots. As you guys can see, Marlon's not here, so you got your boys Jay Lee and Coy Mac in the house. And today we're going to discuss what's going on in Aurora, Colorado, with these illegal immigrant gangbangers taking over apartment complexes. It's crazy down there. You have people that aren't from this country going into buildings where Americans are living, knocking on their door with weapons and extorting money out of them, and pretty much forcing these American citizens to pay to live in a building in their own country to people that aren't from the country. Makes no sense. What do you think, Jay?
Like you said before, it's insane. Like, people that are not Americans, who more than likely are probably criminals in their own country, walking around our streets, coming into our, for lack of a better word, property, and they're infringing upon the rights of the Americans to pursue that property.
Yeah.
Yep. So from what I understand of the situation is a lot of these places that have been taken over were already low income housing to begin with, right? And so they were using them as migrant facilities, basically. As they were sending them to these places with already low income people, which was, as you can guess it, a mixture of different types of low income people in there. And you can guess which one was displaced probably the most in those buildings.
Which one? Blacks?
I wasn't gonna say it. I was just gonna, you know, hint at it. I wasn't gonna be stereotypical here.
All right, so I'll say it for you. So the majority of people in those low-income housings were black folks.
Yeah,
and those are most of the people that were displaced from this housing.
Yeah.
Okay. It's typical.
So you had Venezuelan gangs from South America come up illegally through the border, let in on purpose into a sanctuary city of Aurora, Colorado, in a sanctuary state of Colorado, and then they proceeded to do what they did in Venezuela, which was use force in order to force people to pay money. That's what we're looking at here.
And usually with low income housing, who funds that housing?
The
taxpayers.
The taxpayers. So a taxpayer funding housing for low income Americans are getting taken over by people that we allowed in our country on the taxpayer dollars we allowed them in, and then they go into a taxpayer funded building and take over, extorting the people that don't have enough money, or the low income people, out of their money in order to stay there.
Yeah. Oh, and as we progress with the story, it's going to get much worse for those people besides just being robbed.
Wow.
Yeah.
So here's the video that has been making the rounds. If you can bring that up. This is, I don't have the audio for this one because it's got Kamala Harris underneath it. I don't know if you want to listen to her voice with the audio. But this
Of course,
is
so we can
video.
make fun of her.
Okay. So
For a while, under any circumstances.
I know what a crime looks like. An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal.
Abolish ICE. Yeah.
An undocumented.
So that's the one that they were originally showing online and what people were originally reacting to. I have a longer segment from Fox News where they're talking about this one that we can bring up.
And while you're doing that, if you notice that these guys are doing this, it looked like it was daylight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, broad daylight.
And so they're doing this in broad daylight, carrying long rifles and pistols in an American city.
Wait, they're carrying weapons that look like military grade weapons.
Oh,
one of them I think was just it was a rifle of some sort. I don't think it was I wouldn't call it what they would consider a military grade, but it was definitely
an assault rifle.
It was a rifle of some sort. Sure.
and on that, before you start this video, you know the whole argument about weapons is if you take the weapons from the law-abiding citizens, the criminals are always going to get these weapons.
Yeah.
So them not being citizens, how did they get these weapons?
Yeah,
That's the question.
Yeah, I know, because it's impossible to get weapons illegally in the United States. Did you know that? It's impossible. We banned them in certain places, like Chicago, so nobody without proper authority could get them.
Wait, do you think they might have gotten them at the gun show loophole?
Maybe.
Or they could have got them at this other little thing called it's the black. What's it called?
Maybe they 3D printed them.
Ooh. Maybe. Fast
Maybe.
and Furious and stuff like that. Let's not even talk about that. I mean,
All right,
come
so
on.
here's the original reporting for Fox News.
Because
Okay.
armed gangs, they're alleged gangs that you're looking at, are taking over apartment complexes.
Earlier that morning, I had seen several individuals carrying assault weapons down to the next floor of the building adjoining mine. And I reported it to the police. So all day we were nervous and on high alert anyway, because they told us that they really couldn't do anything unless something happened. It is not by any means an isolated occurrence, unfortunately. I have months, almost a year and a half worth of footage from 6 separate cameras. I have a bullet hole through my car. It went in one side and went out the other, hit about 5 things on the way through. My husband also has bullet holes in his car. I called 911. No help comes for me. No help. We were on our own and we were left to die.
I mean, can you imagine being that?
So that's coming from a resident of the place, and that's not the only video of a resident claiming as such.
Now imagine being an American citizen. Just imagine. You're calling the police for assistance of armed thugs knocking on your door, armed with all types of weapons, and they don't respond. But yet, they will stop somebody on the street for looking suspicious.
Right.
Think about that. That's where your tax take, and it's nothing against police officers. It's nothing against the job they do, because they do have a hard job. But they're the job that they're supposed to do is protect and serve.
Right. And here's one of the things that people don't understand. The reason why a lot of the gang issue has been kind of on the downslope is because a lot of the gangs were taken over by the Mexican cartels in the United States. Like, you used to have American gangs running the show, right?
Yep.
Back in the day, but they're not the ones running the show anymore. It's not even the mafia anymore. What you used to think the mafia is, they have long since a dinosaur age. Right now, the only people controlling the streets are the cartels. So we have a foreign-born entity controlling the streets of America in almost every single city in the United States.
It wouldn't surprise me if the government was in cahoots with the cartel getting kickbacks in those cities.
I mean, we weren't using the cartels to funnel dark money through the CIA.
Yeah,
that never
that's
happened.
true.
I don't know.
We weren't using the cartels.
Who's that?
We weren't using the cartels to, traffic children. That wouldn't happen.
We weren't using their cartels to funnel heroin from Afghanistan. That's not something we would ever do.
No, not America. Come on, this is the land of
opportunity.
Opportunity.
We didn't protect poppy fields because the alternative was worse. It's like, well, we have to let them do it, or else they won't have any cash crops.
We wouldn't do that, Coy. This freedom.
I don't know how many fields that they're like. Remember, in the beginning of the war, we started burning them.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I remember.
And then we stopped burning them for some reason. Because the Taliban used those fields to get money, who then sold it to the cartels to get money, who then infiltrated into the United States to get money. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's like it's all a money laundering thing.
I know,
money,
and I wonder where that and we're not even talking about the guns that get sold to the cartels.
Yep.
Via nefarious means through certain agencies.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Like three letter agencies at that,
No,
not the 3 letters. Come on, they're not corrupt. They can't. There's no way. They stand for freedom, the Constitution. They're not corrupt.
Right. There's also here's another one that's fun to point out. There are billions of dollars we accidentally paid to the Taliban after almost 3 years of surrendering military equipment to them in the withdrawal, or the surrender, we should call it, really was what it was.
Coy, that was just a mistake in the books, man. They didn't do that on purpose. Somebody made a mistake.
And I will tell you that there are no weapons being currently sold on the black markets that are coming out of Afghanistan. None of them. None of them are from Afghanistan, I promise you.
They're not. It can't be.
Anyway, so here, but this all ties in together. It's just how the mismanagement of the city has turned, and the state and the country as a whole has turned this into a problem.
Every night he's shooting everywhere.
We're told the problems at the complex grew worse when a large number of immigrants began moving in about 6 or 7 months.
Does that look like low-income housing to you?
Oh yeah, that looks like the project.
Very much so.
For sure. Yeah.
So yeah, so the projects were taken over by migrants that were allowed to come in here illegally. That they put them in there purposely, even though they are illegals, when they should have been deporting them.
Migrants who are probably staying there for free on the taxpayers' dollar too.
They are.
They get all that money. You know, they get their EBT and they get a bit of money every month. So they're pretty much staying there for free, because I think some states are giving them free housing for up to a year, some 6 months to a year. So they're all in there free. They have nothing better to do. They're not contributing to society. So the way that they can make money is going by and extorting the money out of the people that stay there.
Yep, that's exactly what it was. The state put them there in the first place.
Yeah. Yep, and they knew
Who, by the way, they have the citizens who should be the first ones to reap the benefits of what our taxes are paying into, are opposed at every level, are denied more often than not. And for the most part, they're living by paycheck to paycheck to barely afford the housing that they're in. Because I mean, last time I checked, Aurora, Colorado, the cost of living in Colorado is pretty astronomical comparatively speaking.
It is, and we'll bring that up later because it ties into the California issue, where they're talking about giving migrants or undocumented voters the ability to buy homes.
Yeah, there it is.
Illegally while they're in the United States.
Good job,
because it's not legal to do that. But all right, whatever. Sure.
Months ago, not long afterward, we're told trash began to pile up and now spills into an alleyway after gunfire erupted in Aurora.
Warfare. That's all. It was different calibers guns, many different kinds of guns.
The shooting at the Edge at Lowry Apartments on Dallas Street Sunday night around 11:30 left a man with life-threatening wounds. Police found numerous shell casings. This woman says she heard gunshots and got down, fearing she'd be hit by gunfire. Resident Edward Romero says he's unsuccessfully been complaining about several issues here for months now.
Task force has now been formed to go after a Venezuelan gang.
So I want to remind people that the governor has been downplaying this issue for weeks.
Yeah, I heard that.
Saying that this wasn't happened. This isn't a thing, right? So here's the headline, right? Colorado Governor Jared Polis dismisses migrant grand takeover of apartments as immigration, despite video mayor confirming truth. So the mayor is confirming it. There's an issue between the mayor and the governor saying this is happening, and the governor saying no, it's not. It's a political stunt, or they say it's not really happening. It's all politics, and that because it's an election year, we have to deny until we can't deny it any longer, which is what they're doing. They're saying this is not happening, even though the most dramatic thing that has happened is them putting out this SOS in the apartment complex, or at least one of them.
Wow.
That could be seen from the air. It was large enough that they could see it from the air. And they wanted to make people send help.
You know, when they said that they're creating a task force, and I think about the amount of force a lot of these agencies use to go after somebody with a warrant, so-called violent criminal, whatever you want to call them, could be, could not be. And they send like an army after one person sometimes. Armored vehicles, you know, fully kitted up officers, you know, helicopters, all these resources going in and kicking in one door of a guy that maybe dangerous or maybe not be dangerous. How come they don't use the same resources with something like this? You do it like we did when we were deployed. You go door to door and you start kicking in doors. You let the good people know that this is going to happen. And you go in and start hunting these people down. And you get them up out of there and deport their butts back to where they came from. Because what they're doing, they're turning that place into where the crap hole country they came from.
Yeah. They saw a weakness. They saw a territory that they can control, just like they did in Venezuela. And that's what they're doing.
Tribute. There's guys out here like Coy and I and many others that are willing. Hey, you give us the go ahead and you pay us what you need to pay us, and I'll be your mercenary. I'll blend right in. I would. There's people in America, man, American citizens that are willing and able to go in there and do that. You deputize these people that don't have a serious criminal background. You deputize them. You say ROE is none. You see them, you get them.
Yep.
We'll clear that place out in a few hours easily.
So I'm reading the city of Aurora's city code, and regarding firearms in public facilities, I have a question to ask actually. So you're allowed to carry, it's open carry for the most part if you obviously have the right permits. But it's frowned upon, or it's unlawful when it's in public facilities, when they're posting the prohibition of firearms. Nothing in the section shall be construed to forbid any law enforcement officer from carrying. So you have to be a law enforcement officer. It's not an offense of subsection A if the person is carrying a concealed handgun. And for the purposes of this section, public facilities shall include, but not limited to, municipally owned, operated, or leased buildings, properties, recreational facilities, parks, trails, open spaces, according to certain ordinances. Now, my question is, based on this is section 94-154, section D, or I guess clause D, would these section 8 housings be considered municipally owned, operated, or leased buildings?
What do you mean? Like, is the government leasing those buildings?
Yeah, because
yes, I would assume that they would be leasing them.
Because if that be the case, and it's no wonder why these citizens are not armed.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Like when it comes to that type of housing, if they don't allow it, I mean, it wouldn't make sense not to like let people. But I mean, I don't know. It's a Democrat controlled area, so it's hard to tell what they're thinking.
Yeah,
right.
I've never lived in that type of housing, so I wouldn't know like 100%. But I would assume that the government owns nothing really. If you think about it, usually they lease it. So someone owns those buildings. The government leases the buildings from them, kicks them back. So the government, whoever they're paying, should be the one really saying something, because the government doesn't care.
The firearms aren't the issue. It's the issue of using those firearms to force people to pay you money, which is extortion.
Right. Well, I guess my concern is the fact that if citizens who are living in those housing units cannot have a firearm for themselves to protect themselves from this, based on Aurora's city code, again, that's city code section 94-154. If these section 8 housings are municipally owned, operated, or leased, then you're not allowed to have firearms on within the premises. It seems
which surprise. Yeah, that was just the thing is like that would surprise me that these people haven't been able to push them out to begin with. I mean, this is if this was Texas, this wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, right.
It would only take one shootout for the cops to be like, okay, we got to get these guys out of here.
And that's a really good point, Jay, because if they knew these thugs, these unwelcome people that are thugs in our country, knew that these people were armed, they wouldn't be going in there just willy-nilly like they are. They're just walking around because they know, like you said, they know that the people aren't armed. They're not going to come into some, housing unit, no subdivision, and do something like that.
Right.
It wouldn't end well for them. So they know this. So they attack the vulnerable, and they found the vulnerable, and they're going to keep doing it until we send in the big boys to take them out.
Yep. So this really comes down to a failure of leadership. Here is a councilwoman talking about it, where she reveals that this has been a reported issue, like they knew about it 5 weeks ago. Like weeks ago, not like just suddenly.
That's insane.
Weeks ago. They also, the mayor also, in another report, it wasn't just like 1 or 2 buildings. It's a handful of buildings. They went from 1 to 2 buildings to a handful, right? Not a couple, a handful. So they're not even giving us the real number of how many buildings these people have actually taken control over.
Sure, it's certainly not the whole city. Right. So I want to be clear about that. I would say geographically it is sort of isolated to one area right now, but this is a large area. Aurora is a huge city. So when we talk about isolation, this is still very much a large portion of the city. And if this is not addressed, it will continue to spread.
I know you've been very vocal about this for a while now. When did you first know that these problems were going on in the community?
I first realized about the actual gang takeovers in these apartment complexes about 5 weeks ago.
Why do you think maybe people weren't willing to listen initially? Because it does feel like you've got a lot of frustrations in terms of why it took 4 or 5 weeks for people to start to listen, especially once people saw that video.
Right. I think it comes down to, public image. And then I think,
I didn't point this out. So this is, I don't have the original video, but I've seen it. What this is guys with AR-15s are basically guarding the area. And we're in an instigated fight with whoever this person is.
Are you crazy? This is insane.
Controlling territory.
And again, just like in their country, this is something they would do.
Yep.
Yeah.
So like it's not a surprise it's happening.
Politics is very much at play here. But once I, met some folks like the Romeros and some others that I have helped get out of there, these are real human beings on the other side of these doors. And for me, this is not about politics. We have got to get these people out and we have got to address this gang.
So that's not the only video from here. I got another one from her.
Wow.
That goes into it, where she describes more in detail what's going on.
Seen at several of these complexes now. They've spray painted Venezuela all over the buildings. There are broken windows. There's trash everywhere. It's really a grim scene at these apartment complexes. And what you see at any given time is men, and I've really only seen men, walking around with guns. They are actively patrolling these properties. They have completely taken them over. They have beaten up any staff that was on site of these complexes. They have beaten them up. So there is no staff. It is absolutely these gang members controlling these apartment complexes. And, yesterday I made sure to go in with several police officers helping and watching. But I'll tell you what, before I even had this family completely moved out of their apartment, these folks were already fighting over this apartment complex, and they were starting to move stuff in before we had even completely moved this family out.
That's insane, man. Like, and this all stems, and we're probably going to go into it from, immigration. I know we're going to talk about it. But we talked about this months ago, I think last year, when we was talking about the immigration problem on the southern border. And we were talking about, if you notice, all the military-age males, which is common knowledge. And we said, these guys are something else other than immigrants. I said they're either UN soldiers or some type of, infiltration force to cause chaos within these major cities. They're all males. Which one of those guys that was holding that rifle was looking for asylum? Tell me.
So one of the key issues with this is that we're only talking about Venezuelan gangs. We're not talking about any of the other nationalities that have come across the border illegally over the last 3 years. Like,
yep.
The amount of Chinese males that have infiltrated the United States and into California is astronomical. Like, we're talking just about the same numbers as these gang members. So you have probably Chinese party communists infiltrating the United States with military-age males into very sympathetic cities in California. And they're talking about giving these people the ability to vote.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Coy. So you said they're moving these Chinese males to California, right?
Yeah.
So let's go back in time. Who did Governor Gavin Newsom have in his city not too long ago?
Good old Xi Jinping.
Now think about it. Why would he go to California? What was the purpose of him going to California?
Yeah.
The purpose was they're in cahoots with each other to move their guys there to do whatever they have planned and to get their commie California going.
Better yet,
you got to open your eyes, man. Look at the big picture,
Here's a better question. Why was a California governor meeting with a foreign leader on U.S. soil without the federal government involved? It was just him.
Yep.
Like not even Nancy Pelosi went in there, right? Because she did that whole Taiwan trip. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yep.
She might have made him a little upset with that one because they were trying to get the semiconductors into the United States because they couldn't have Taiwan fall before they could get access to semiconductors. Hence why they finally decided to bring back manufacturing in the United States because they couldn't allow Taiwan to fall into the hands of the Chinese without having an alternative for semiconductor production.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Remember that? Yeah, that's probably why.
And I don't know if we have this information, but notice that they're moving all these immigrants to different major cities.
Yep.
And they're all blue cities, correct?
Every single one of them.
And their gun laws, they have strict gun laws in these cities. So this is all strategic, man. They know that if they move all these people here, the citizens there can't defend themselves based off the strict gun laws in those cities.
Yep. Here's another good point. Which presidential family flew on U.S. taxpayer dollars to China for private equity deals?
Oh, the Bidens?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder who has the deepest ties with a communist state that currently exists right now. Yeah, I wonder who that is. But the thing is, here's the other thing we're also forgetting about. Remember the secret police stations in the United States and other multiple European and Canadians, right?
Yep.
Where they were snatching up Chinese nationals that went against the system in China. In the United States, they were arresting people in the United States to be sent back to China for arrest. I want you to understand that right now we have multiple paramilitary and paranationals operating in the United States without impunity and without rule of law right now.
Crazy to me. That's insane.
And all it's going to take is for American citizens to get fed up. And that's brutal. There are citizens out there. You got the Hells Angels. You got a lot of these local gangbangers who are tired of it too. They're voicing their opinion. They're going to get tired of it. And it's going to be that shot heard across the globe. And that's where it all starts. It's going to be gunfire in the streets, what we like to call a civil war. There's going to be all types of chaos. This is what they've always wanted. Because what do they want? They want order out of chaos. If they can deplete the system, kill the current system while chaos is going on, they can come in and fix it and input their new system of government.
Yep. So the next couple of clips I got is we're going to work up the chain, right? We listened to the councilwoman, what she's been saying, and she's calling the alarm, right? So the lower ranking are always the ones that are saying, hey, something's wrong. And it's always the above leadership are the ones that are downplaying everything, right? So as we're moving up, this is the mayor, by the way. And these are clips of him saying he's kind of in that middle intermediate, right? He's not as outspoken as the councilwoman, but he's not as like denial as the,
he's not sweeping it under the rug.
Yeah.
Because it plays into a lot of the national headlines that we're seeing. When you hear, gang has taken over an apartment complex, that can mean different things to different people, right? There's taken over in terms of Aurora police can't go there. And then there's taken over in terms of they're shaking residents down for money and scaring people and that kind of thing. If I hear you correctly, please correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying it's not a takeover in the sense that it's a no-go zone for APD, but that they are exerting control over the residents in a way that is unacceptable or illegal.
Correct,
That's fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. Any apartment complexes in Denver where you believe that's happening?
We do not have that.
Okay. Because it plays into a lot of the national.
How do you not have that? It's your city, right? Like they're like we don't know how many is an issue, but we like it exists there. We know it's happening, but we don't know how many.
Well, I guess that's the question. Like how much would be too much for these cities who are allowing this to happen based upon. Right. To the rational people, yes. But like to these leaders who are hearing the reports, are getting the complaints, are seeing, boots on the ground video of all this stuff happening, and yet they're still in denial about the fact that it is happening. Yeah. They're like, oh, it's not that bad. Well, what will constitute bad to these people?
Yeah. You're right, Jay. And here's the other thing. These are also the same sorts of people that allowed armed communists to take over city centers during 2020. And say that's nothing compared to January 6th. So, like, you have a riot that happened at the Capitol where they're arresting old ladies, right? And then there's the people that literally took over city streets and even federal buildings of federal courthouse and bombed it, right? And shot kids. in the city centers, and those are not a threat. Just these ones over here that breached the Capitol, not the ones that took over federal courthouses and firebombed police cars.
Right.
Oh yeah, they're just peacefully protesting. Coy, come on, man, get it right. You got to get with the program here. Those are peaceful protests. Those other ones were insurrectionists. There's a difference. Really find people on both sides.
But yeah, they have no idea. They have no idea. Here's a longer clip we can play.
I want to ask you about that video that's being played nonstop some places. Correct to say that Aurora police have had that video as part of their investigation into gang activity for more than a week now. That's right.
We're talking about the one we saw earlier in the program where they're trying to break into the apartment. That's the video they're referring to.
That's correct.
But you've not yet determined if the men in that video are part of the TDA gang?
That's correct.
That's correct.
I think you see that video over and over again and you feel like, oh my gosh, every newcomer to the city must be a part of Tren de Aragua and I should report them or call 911 or call 311 or, heaven forbid, take law into my own hands. That is not needed in any way. We have one of the best trained police forces in the country who knows how to do strategic operations, knows how to do gang prevention. We are on this every single moment.
It's overwhelming our 911 system, our emergency call center. And so it's actually hurting our ability to respond to crime. And so I would hope people would not do that. I think we're in some sort of environment of hysteria right now over this. It's a real issue. It's being.
What did I say? It's a real issue. Like these guys are like, we're acknowledging it happening, but it's not as bad as you think it is. Even though
we're acknowledging. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, even though you heard earlier from the people that live there, then the councilwoman who lives there, and now you're hearing from the mayor who's in leadership saying this isn't a problem. It's a problem, but it's not a problem. It's not really a problem.
Yeah, it's a problem, and we don't really want the people to report armed thugs coming through the door pointing guns at them. We don't know. Don't do that.
Yeah.
We'll only report it if it's an American that's doing it to you. We're gonna let these armed thugs just do what they want. You know, they're poor. They're asylum seekers.
Yeah, those poor young men who are coming here for conquest.
They're just coming here for a better life.
Yeah,
they want to take care of their family, like the American dream of robbing people, stealing, extorting.
They came for the B-dubs and PS5s.
Yeah, man. You know,
that's what they came for.
We can't hurt them like that.
It's amazing to me that this is the kind of leadership that we have, is that they are saying that we have a problem, but we don't have a problem.
Yeah.
Right. And then they'll keep denying the problem until they can't deny it anymore. And then they'll finally do something about it. But then when they do something about it, it's barely doing anything. And the things that they're doing are actually more harmful than good.
So what he's saying is, they don't need mass hysteria of things that are actually happening with armed thugs, but they want mass hysteria when it comes to a pandemic. You'd be hysterical about that, but don't be hysterical about somebody that can actually take you out. Be more scared of something that probably can't take you out.
So here's the chief of police of Aurora, Colorado.
I stopped by here at 12th and Dallas. Got quite a few of our officers out here that are out here tonight again. I've been out here for several weeks, making contacts with our residents, reassuring them about the criminal activity that's happening here and how we're going to address it. We're out here. We want to reassure the people that live in this community that we are actively investigating criminal activity that's happening and listening to them to so that we can learn anything that we're missing. You know, what are we missing, and actually find out what exactly is going on. We're out here because we care. I mean, nobody should be wearing this uniform if they don't care. And we want the residents and the people that live here to know that we care. We've been talking to the residents here and learning from them to find out what exactly is going on. And there's definitely a different picture. I'm not saying that there's not gang members that don't live in this community.
Oh my gosh.
But what we're
even the chief of police can't admit that there's a problem. The person that's supposed to enforce the law in the city can't admit that there's a problem.
Because she's playing politics, you know, and she's a politician. That's all she is.
Well, it's not just playing politics. It's she wants to keep her money. She wants to get
Yep.
paid.
They couldn't have
All
me
in
as the
the
chief of
script.
police. I'd be like, these dang illegal immigrant thugs are over here. I'd be saying all types of crazy stuff.
Yep. But we're here to help. That's what the government says. We're here to help, even though we won't admit that there's a problem. We can't help with a problem that doesn't exist. Now, can we?
Now here's the question: Do these thugs stay in the same building. They stay in the building with the residents, right?
Yeah.
So if the residents talked to the police and said, those guys that stay in that apartment right there are some of the ones that are doing it, wouldn't you think that they would go in there and get them out of there or snatch them up?
Yeah, probably.
You think?
I'm just saying, I would think.
But here's the thing: is that these types of gangs are treating it like favelas, right? You got to think of it like that. So you got these low-income housing. They're not shack towns, obviously, but they're kind of like shack towns. But it's a lot easier because you only have to control one building instead of multiple small buildings stacked on top of each other. So all these people, they're just treating it like they would if they were in South America, right?
Yeah.
Is that these shanty towns are being controlled by them. That's what it really comes down to. Is like it's an easy way to get some money. We can extort them. We can get protection fees or whatever. And that's what they're doing. But they're going to say it's not a problem.
Learning out here is that gang members have not taken over this complex. We've really made an effort to the last few days to just really ask the specific questions or the direct questions in terms of the gang activity and who's actually making sure that people aren't paying rent to gang leaders or gang members, that's not happening. And we just.
But you just said that wasn't happening to begin with. So how can you make sure that that's not happening if you're not admitting that it's happening?
Quite literally.
Yeah. So I want to go. Yeah. She's not the only one.
She's a DEI hire.
Here's a post from Governor Jared Polis. Colorado is a zero tolerance state for illegal activity. Taking over buildings has no place in Colorado, and I am confident that the city of Aurora shares the basic values and will enforce a law if it is being violated there. Like how that prefix comes there. If it is being violated there. So you're admitting it's happening without admitting it is happening by saying that, if it's happening.
All right. Maybe I'm done. So when a governor took his oath, what is one thing in this oath that it says? To protect against all enemies.
Foreign and domestic.
Foreign and domestic, right?
Right.
Yep.
So if these people aren't citizens, would they be considered a foreign enemy on American soil?
Based on what they're doing to American people and the fact that they're infringing upon the American citizens' right to property, then yes, that's it.
Yes. Yep. So as the governor, Coy, if you was governor, what would you do immediately? Since you're the governor of the state and you know this is going on, would you declare a state of emergency?
I would try. Definitely a state of emergency, or at least something. I would put a task force together to get these people out, because like if they're illegals to begin with, they shouldn't even be there. You should round them up and send them back to Border Patrol. What Border Patrol does with them then, not my problem. But as long as if they keep coming back, I'll keep picking them up and keep sending them back to CBP.
And that's what I do. What type of force does he have with one phone call?
He can have the mayor of the city send the police in to get these people out.
Outside of the police. He has a lot more power.
You can use the National Guard if you want to.
He has a National Guard. So since the governor should declare a state of emergency, since it's a state of emergency, he calls up the National Guard. He says, hey, I need you to get all 1,000, 2,000 of your guys down there, and I want you to go clean out those buildings.
Yeah.
Separate the citizens from the ones that shouldn't be there.
Yep,
then once you figure that out, you get them out there, you load them up on trucks, and you get them up out of there. And then that sets a precedent. So the next guys that come in knowing like, oh, I'm not going to do that because they're going to send these people in here guns a-blazing, and they're more trained than we are.
Yep. Because like
hands approach.
Exactly, because these guys are committing crimes, and we know that they're doing it, and you have to take a hard approach. They're not even supposed to be here to begin with. I should not allow these people to stay in a place that is detrimental to my citizens. That's period. So, but that's not going to happen because this is the kind of guy he is.
Officials near Denver say Venezuelan gang members are taking over apartment complexes in the area. They're calling on you to act. They're criticizing your office for dismissing the story as, quote, imagination. Out front, obtaining this video from a resident, Cindy Romero, showing gunmen, including with a semi-automatic weapon outside of her door. Romero says that she called police when she saw the gunman, but they said they couldn't do anything unless something happened. There was actually a shootout at one point. Bullet holes ripped through her and her husband's cars. Local police confirmed the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua is committing, quote, isolated crimes in the area, as they put it. Is this something that you need to take more seriously?
Oh, we've taken it very seriously. Weeks ago, I convened the city of Aurora with the state and federal government. Look, it is completely illegal in Colorado to take over and occupy a building. And Aurora Police Department's on the front lines. If they need our help, I've told the mayor, I've told the police department, the state is ready to assist your police department if it's above and beyond your capabilities to do that. If the people alleging this have more evidence, please bring it forward, give it to Aurora Police Department. The state of Colorado takes these kinds of threats very seriously.
Even though he just admitted that it wasn't a problem to begin with.
How much money do you think they're getting for all these immigrants that are getting sent to their city? Because they're getting bused there and plane and brought by plane. So for every immigrant that gets off, they're getting a kickback from big government. They're getting some type of kickback. That mayor is getting a kickback. That city councilman, they're all getting some type of funding for them sending these people there. They don't care what type of people, immigrants that they send. We've known this. They don't screen them properly because we have gangbangers, human traffickers, all types of rapists, all types of criminals coming across the border. They don't care. They care about a body. So for every body they receive, that state or that city gets a kickback. It's all about dollars, as someone stated in the comments.
And there's another video I wanted to play for everybody just to show you how unserious this person is.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad.
Now, I ain't got a problem with the song. What I got a problem with is how much of a fool this man is in the first place.
That's what is it?
Like, look, this is the perfect frame to end it on too, right there. There you go.
That's the governor of California or
Colorado. Yeah. That's the governor of Colorado.
That right there, that
guy,
pathetic display, who's trying to pander to his Hispanic audience to try and win votes for this year. I'm assuming when was this?
A year ago.
I think it was a year ago. I think it was last year
ago, 2023.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this clown is up there parading around in all of his governorship, his gubernatorial responsibility. And this is the display of leadership that the people of Colorado have, that they voted for, by the way.
Yeah,
apparently.
exactly. But
got it.
So, as I've been leading up to the coup de grace here, is that these people are unserious, and then when things happen, they do the thing that is exactly opposite of what you probably should be doing. So, as we know, that one congresswoman councilwoman tried to get a family out. So, in the infinite wisdom of how should we help the people, they have decided to remove the people. And I don't mean remove the people that are causing the problems, vacating the people that are living there legally.
These people are still paying rent, right?
Yep.
Wow. Look at this.
Many outgoing people, many of the residents that we talked to here simply say they have not had enough time to find more permanent housing, and they're really caught in the middle this morning.
I thought there would be some compassion, maybe a little bit of an extension to help these people find somewhere to go. They put some paperwork on our doors saying, if you find a place to go, we'll pay your deposit in first month. I bet you $100 to a dollar, nobody has been put or placed or helped find somewhere to go.
Now, the building's management says that the problem stems from gangs that have pretty much overrun the entire building and taken control of the building. They say it's not the code violations that the city claims.
This is crazy.
Yep.
So displaced American citizens born and bred here and kick them out because you're scared of a bunch of thugs with rifles.
Yep.
Yeah. Sounds pretty tough to me.
So
good job.
Yeah.
Aurora.
So I've been living in this apartment complex for X number of years, paying rent, which is on average, let's say for all intent and purposes, an average of about $1,500 a month for the last 2.5, 3+ odd years post COVID. Because it was the only place that I could afford between the welfare, SNAP, EPT benefits that I now have to fight for, because now I need to move out of that place because my local government has no cojones to come in with the necessary force needed to protect me, an American citizen. So I gotta find another place to live that they're not gonna help me with. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep.
Got it. Okay.
But this shouldn't surprise us, because this is like the rhetoric our government has been saying for the last 3-4 years. They care more about illegals than they do us. It's right in front of our face. But American citizens that don't pay attention, especially the lefties who don't pay attention, now it's punching them in the face. And then they're like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. Well, us on the right have been saying this.
Yeah.
We've been talking about this, but you guys called us anti-immigrant, racist, bigots, and every other name in the book. But we told you this was going to happen. When you bring people in from crap hole countries, they don't want to assimilate when they come to our country. So they turn our country into the crap hole country they left, because that's what they're used to.
Right. So I want people to remember, this is just a organized effort to displace citizens, right? So like, I know they like to say that the great replacement theory is racist and that it's a white supremacy talking point, but I want to ask you a question. What you just saw tonight, would you consider that replacement?
Yes.
Right? Because like they want to make it about white people, right? It's not about white people. We're talking about people being replaced, citizens being replaced with people that are more sympathetic to the Democrats. Even if they never vote, even if they aren't sympathetic, it doesn't matter. As long as we get them in our state, we get more congressional seats and more electoral college votes.
Right.
California has basically illegal electoral votes and Congress people existing now in seats that shouldn't actually exist, because their numbers of citizens that live in the United States in their state is actually smaller because of the displacement of illegals that exist in that state. If you take away those illegals from their roster, they lose 2 seats automatically.
That's correct.
Automatically, they lose 2 seats, which means they lose electoral college votes.
Yeah.
You know, if I was in charge of the universe for a day, I'd be a dictator for one day, and then just one day. And then all hell would break loose. I'm telling you. No holds barred, go in and clean them all out, get the American citizens back in there, where in their rightful place, get all these people, round them up, put them on buses, and airdrop them in whatever country they came from. Stop with this soft hand stuff, because it's only going to hit here. This is a test. This is the test. You're going to start seeing it hit other cities. I read that somewhere in Texas. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Austin. You know, all these major cities, San Francisco is going to get hit, Aurora, Denver, you know, all these major cities are going to start getting hit to where it becomes out of control, where you can't control it no more. Then you're going to have all these displaced American citizens who are now trying to look for places to live. You need to nip it at a butt now. Send in the big boys. If the police can't handle it, if they can't handle it, send in the big boys. And you know who the big boys are.
Yeah. Because the Democrats figured, like, the reason why people don't rise up and do it, like JD was asking why the people don't rise up and do it, is because the Democrats figured out a long time ago it's better to be feared than loved if you can't be both.
Yeah.
Right. So they can't be loved like they used to. Now they have to be feared. That's what it really comes down to.
Right.
And they're using that fear of the alt-right or the conservatives. They want us to go out and be violent in order to be able to crack down even further. That's the problem, is that we're stuck in this thing where if we actually do what we're supposed to do, then it would give them an excuse that they want in order to shut us out and shut us down and to institute what they actually want to do. That's the problem. So we're stuck in this thing where it has to get to a point where everybody is fed up with it, and it's not just us, which will come a time, and everything has its right time and place.
And here's what's going to happen when that does happen. It's mainly going to be people on the right.
Yeah.
You know, and then when that happens, the first thing they're going to say is right-wing extremists attacked an immigrant housing unit. That's how they're going to frame it.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's how they'll always frame it. It doesn't matter. So you can be. The coup already happened a long time ago. The state isn't run by the people. It hasn't been run by the people since they killed Kennedy.
Yeah.
Once the intelligence apparatus was able to successfully kill a U.S. president, we were no longer in control of the government. So when people say that you shouldn't talk about the overthrow of the U.S. government, it's like we wouldn't be throwing the U.S. government over. We would be reinstituting the U.S. government, which was already overthrown many, many years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, we're going to start wrapping it up here soon. But the one thing Americans need to know: you were born and bred in this country. We own this country. We are not going to allow some outsiders come in our country, change our culture, and tell us how we move within a country we were born and bred in. I'd be damned if that happened. More Americans need to start standing up and fighting for your rights and stop sitting back like little chimps and allowing them to do what they want to do. The more we allow it, the more they do. The more we allow it, the more powerful they get. We start standing up and fighting back and voicing our opinion about it, they'll start trying to back off a little. They push back, we push back. We don't allow stuff like that. Whether you're right or left, I don't care. They're still citizens of this country. And we got to stop sitting back and allowing this stuff, because this is just the beginning. And if we allow it, it's our own fault. That's my closing remark.
So,
go ahead.
My final thoughts is this, is that take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your friends and your community. That's the only thing you can do right now. It's like the government isn't going to help you. Nobody's coming to help you. You have to police your own. You have to be in your own community in order to keep yourself safe. And that's what you should be doing. You cannot rely on the government to save you, because they're not going to come.
Right.
That's right. Jay?
I would venture to say, yeah, like you said, bro, know your rights and know them back and forth, inside and out, no matter what, because the government, the Constitution, and us, the reason why America is the way it is because the Constitution tells us, hey, government, this is what you're allowed to do. You infringe upon that, you're out. You're done. You're not allowed to do any of this. That's what the Constitution is. And so in light of that, if every single American citizen, I don't care if you're right, left, up or down, black, white, yellow, who cares? As long as you call yourself somebody who was naturally born or born in this country, these are your rights, and you need to abide by that.
Yeah, read the Constitution and don't be afraid to write to these legislators. When you see a violation in the Constitution, don't sit back and take it.
Right.
You call them out. This is a violation of this article, this section, and X, Y, and Z. Because if you don't say nothing, that old rule, if you don't speak up, they think it's okay to do it. It's not okay. Read the Constitution, get you a little pocket Constitution. If you see it, you call it. Start a petition. We're in power. Don't get it twisted. We're in control. They think they're in control. They're not. We are.
You have to play by the rules that have been set before you, even if they keep breaking them or changing them. Change to benefit yourself and change the rules.
That's right.
What is our topic for Wednesday, Sky?
There's this lawyer who was teaching people how to commit voter fraud, correct, Jay?
Yeah. Yep. So this is a TikTok beef, I guess you could say. So there was this lawyer who was on the TikTok streets, and he was saying, "Hey guys, here's what you can do based on this website that Georgia decided to put up, and you can go ahead, and if you got the necessary information, you can. I guess he said you could. What is it? Unregister them.
Yeah, unregister them. So the reason we're doing this, because if he's teaching people this is something that is actually probably going on. So if somebody knows your info, family member, friend, just happens to know little details about you, they can go in and change your voter registration or get rid of it. This is why coming up to election time now, and I did it, check your registration. When I checked mine, I wasn't registered. I was like, well, this is crazy.
Right.
And I went in and registered again. So make sure you're going into your voter registration site. There's a voter registration site. Check your voter registration and make sure everything is correct. And there's some more info I'm going to drop into our Telegram about what you can do to protect the vote. It's all dropping. So check it out. Jay, take us out.
All right. Well, see you all Wednesday. Like, share, comment, subscribe, folks. And we'll see you. Peace.
War.